Hi everyone, this is Leslie from Just Less Creations. Thank you for joining us again in this series of back to school cake pops. We've already done quite a few in this series, and today we are going to make a piece of paper because every child has to have paper to learn their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. So let's get started to make a piece of paper for our back to school series. So on most cake pop videos that we've done so far, we have used a regular cookie scoop, and we have scooped out our cake pop dough for our pops. This time I want to show you how we can use cookie cutters to create the shapes that we need. So I'm going to just take a big chunk of it. And I'm going to show you actually how to roll it out, how to get that consistent depth for all of them, and then we will cut them out that way. So first thing I need to do is actually just squeeze it all together as a group, try to get some of the air out of it. Okay, now I want a nice thick, about a 1/2 inch thick on the dough. So I'll put it right here in the middle, and I have these they're 1/4 inch boards that I use for my cake pop dough. So I'm going to use 2 of them because I want it about a 1/2 inch thick. And I'm going to use my roller, and I'm just going to roll it, and then I'm going to turn it because I want it to be nice and flat. I'm going to push them edges together. I'm going to be the same. Turn it again. Okay, so it's nice and consistent. And we're also going to need a piece of paper. So again, we're just going to do another rectangle using the same method. Okay, here we are. We've got our rectangular shaped cake pop dough, and using the knife, it does create these ridges, if you will. What I'm going to do is just try to kind of smooth the edges out a little bit. I don't want that cake pop dough falling into my chocolate when I go to dip it, so I'm just smoothing out. I don't really care about the dips as long as it's not a huge crack. The chocolate will fill that in, and I want a nice smooth edge. All right, so let's go ahead and get a lollipop stick stuck in here so it can start setting up, and then I'll show you how we're going to create the paper. All right, so I'm going to stick about 1/4 inch of I'm going to stick my lollipop stick in about 1/4 inch to cover that end with some chocolate and tap off the excess. All right, and right in the middle, I'm going to spin it clockwise until I feel that chocolate grip. And then I'm going to turn it back about 1/4 turn. All right, and then I'm just going to take that excess off the bottom. Well, that didn't go on there very straight. Oh well, we'll have a crooked piece of paper on a lollipop stick. Didn't quite make that middle. All right, and we're just going to let it sit up over here until it firms up. And while we're waiting for that, I'm going to show you how to make that actual piece of paper that we're going to put on top of there. So you can actually take and paint directly on the chocolate once it has cooled. But I actually like that 3D look, so I'm actually going to make a piece of paper out of modeling chocolate and paint everything on it, and then pop it onto my cake pop in just a second. So let's do that piece of paper. Because there's something that you can do with the modeling chocolate that you really can't do with the cake pop, and that's put the holes in it for your 3-ring binder, because we all know that who remembers the Trapper Keepers? That's dating me. So let's go ahead and make a piece of paper. So I've just got some modeling chocolate. If you haven't done so yet, please refer to the modeling chocolate video where I actually describe and demonstrate how to make modeling chocolate. All right, so I have cornstarch in my shaker container. We're going to use a little bit of that to take some of the tackiness out of our chocolate so it doesn't stick to the rollers. Okay, now we need our roller. We've got to measure how big our cake pop is. I can see we've got 2 inches on this length, and the width is going to be about 1.5 inches. I don't know if you can see 1.5 inches here. So we're going to make it just under that because I don't want it to go over top of the square. I want it just under that. So the first thing we're going to do is create a straight line. Alrighty. Alright, so I need 1.5 inches. So right here is my chocolate line, and the 1 inch and the 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. I'm going to line that up right along the edge, and then I'm just going to put it to the other side of that yellow tick mark. I don't know if you can see that. That'll create just under that 1.5 inches that I'm looking for. Alright, so now I just need 2 inches. We'll go from this end, and we'll cut this edge off. Alright, so here we go. We got our piece of paper. Alright, so now I'm going to show you exactly how to put our lines on. If you don't have poppy paint, that's okay. There's more than one way to make things work. So right here I have a peacock blue luster dust, and I also have a poppy red that we're going to use, and I'm going to show you how to make the lines on your piece of paper. So I need some blue. We're going to put a little drop of blue in here. Wipe that off. Then I'm going to put a little bit of red in here. Then you can use any clear alcohol. I usually use a vodka. Not that I drink it, but I do use it in my cooking. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to take just a little bit of vodka. Doesn't take much. I don't want a runny paint, but I'm going to make this poppy paint into something that we can paint with. So I'm just going to put enough in there to liquefy it. There's some for the blue. There's some for the red. We'll hold on to this for a moment until I stir this up. Now you'll see that the red mixed up really quickly versus the blue. And that's because that blue has a little bit of metallic flake in it, and the red does not. It takes a little bit more with the metallic dust in there. All right, however, the red is really, really thin. I don't like that, so I'm going to add just a little bit more of the dust to thicken that up. Otherwise, it'll turn out super pink on your chocolate. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is create the spot where my lines need to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is 1/4 inch in. I am just barely going to touch. I'm going to create that guide mark line, and then I'm going to put a couple that go this way. Then I'm going to put the holes in. I have the number 6 icing tip with the little hole in it. I'm actually going to put the holes in towards the outside for a 3-ring binder. One at the top, one at the bottom, and then one in the center. Put it right here. And then we'll just smooth that back up and square up our paper. So now we're going to take our paints and we're going to trace those lines. Alright, voila guys, we have a piece of paper. Then we're going to go ahead and put on our cake pop. All right, we're going to put it in at a 45. We're going to spin it around until it touches its, actually, it might be kind of big for that. I think what we're going to do is just going to drip it down. We're going to start at the top because I think it's too big for all the chocolate that I have in here. I don't have a whole lot. Yeah, let's just go ahead and pour it down over the sides. Make sure the bottom, make sure the bottom is covered. It's too heavy. Let's see if we can salvage this. There's always more than one way to salvage. All right, so at this point, I'm just going to hold it at this 45-degree angle. I did not allow that chocolate to set up on the inside long enough. So I recommend that if you're doing this, make sure that chocolate on the inside is actually dried before you dip it in chocolate. Now all I'm doing is helping that chocolate find its way down the bottom so I can salvage the cake pop. Now, I'm going to tap the bottom of my stick, try to secure it in there a little bit more, and then I'm really going to let it sit and set up before we do anything else. Again, I'm just tapping it because I broke loose that chocolate on the inside. And then, I don't know if you can see, but when I tapped it, it actually drew more of that chocolate down. So I'm just going to help gravity do its thing by barely touching it. All right, now at this point, we're just going to let it sit. If it takes an hour, it takes an hour. Just let it sit, let that chocolate completely set up, especially what's on the inside. So we just need to let it firm up. So we're going to let it sit here and we're going to move on to something else. Okay, we're back. I think we have a good firm chocolate on this cake pop that we're making a piece of paper out of. So all we really have left to do, guys, is to take our paper. I'm going to lay a cake pop down here. Take our paper, add just a little bit of water on the back end. And then just drop it on our cake pop like so. Even it up a little bit. My fingers are wet. And then just push it down, make sure it's all sticking in place. And then if you really want, I think I'm going to put a nice little A+ on the top of our paper. I'm going to use a little bit of red. And that's it, guys. And there we go. Super simple, easy. I know you can do it. You guys, this is such a fun series to try. And I encourage you to go out there and do it. Watch the video several times if you need to. Stick with it. You can even make a round ball and stick a piece of paper on it. I mean, there's so many different ways that you could do this, but this is just another tutorial to show you different ways to create the same end result. So guys, I know that you can do this. So go out there, make a piece of paper for your back to school cake pops, for your friends and your kids, for their school, the teachers, the parties that they have, the welcome back, anything that you want to do it for. Anyway, be creative, think outside the box. I know you can do this, and stay tuned for the next one in our series for the back to school cake pops.
Today, won't you click the link to reserve your spot on my consultation schedule? Don't stress any longer. Let me help you get the breakthrough that you're looking for today.